Welcome to the Private Property Podcast, where we provide valuable knowledge and information on anything and everything property related. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, a seasoned investor, or you're just looking for some expert advice, we have got you covered. All you have to do is tune in every Tuesday and every Thursday at 7 p.m. We will give you tips, insights, expert advice on all burning topics property related. This podcast is brought to you by Private Property. Remember, you can find your new home on privateproperty.co.za. Welcome to the Private Property Podcast. On tonight's episode, we'll be unpacking and forecasting what kind of trends you can expect to see with the interest rate in 2023. Joining me in studio, one of my faves, it's Julien Pick, who's the National Manager for Home Loans, Retail Credit Solutions and Pricing at Absa. But before we dive into the conversation, I need to remind you to comment below, share your thoughts on today's show, and you can join the conversation by using the hashtag #FindYourNewHome on privateproperty.co.za. You can also use the hashtag the Private Property Podcast on all social media. We'll be keeping an eye out for your posts, and we may even feature some of your comments on the show. Because this is the Private Property Podcast, where we give you all of the valuable information that you need on all things property related. Let's get straight into it. Julien, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. How are you doing?
Family. I think I must move my office here permanently.
I think you should. We're going to create a space for you, and I'm going to give you the Wi-Fi password, okay? Provided there's no load shedding. Listen, I want to talk to you about some things.
Right.
Specifically, the finance minister is going to stand up on the stage soon, and he's going to make the budget speech for 2023.
Right.
And I want to know what you think we should be expecting to hear from him.
So I don't think we should expect anything different. I think our economy kind of got stuck. I think for me, topical, I think we're still sitting with a lot of structural issues that we need to resolve. Our unreliable electricity supply. So that for me, I think is going to be the main topic of discussion.
Yeah.
Our costs and our inefficient ports and rail network, because we can't move the goods that goods to manufacture, and the manufactured goods we can't get out of the country, for exporting and importing, and that needs to be addressed as well. I'm hoping you will address it.
Yeah.
And then I think also very importantly for me, I think what I'm hoping you will discuss is crime and corruption. So what efforts government is going to put in place to kind of fight and make sure that we kind of get on top of crime and corruption, and then our SOEs, what can be done, ESCOM, airport, SAA,
Transnet,
water, so I think a lot of I'm hoping we will get some direction as far as that's concerned. And then I think importantly as well is, how do we enable small businesses to do business in South Africa? I think we're still sitting with too many red tape, and there are too many barriers to entry. So I'm hoping that you will address some of those things, and I'm hoping in that particular order of importance as well.
Yeah, I think when it comes to small businesses in particular, we've seen not only too many barriers to entry, but also obviously the electricity situation has shut so many people down.
Right.
In a situation, they could have thrived in, but now we're completely unable to, because they can't provide and offer those services because of the instability of the grid.
So I have a friend who's been in business for a number of years. He does embossing and printing of labels and so on. And I could actually see the sadness, or hear the sadness in his voice when he says if someone comes around now and offers him half of what his business is worth, he will let it go because he just can't manage in these uncertain times, but not uncertain times, but particularly around the unstable supply of electricity. That for him is a big, and he employs 40 odd people. He employs,
Wow.
so think of the extended
The knock-on
family
effect and the
of-
ripple effects.
of
Yes.
that. So that for me was like, quite sad to hear that, someone that's so dedicated and someone that's really, pride himself in business and giving jobs to his people. He was even saying, even in the COVID period when business was shutting down, he still had these people come in, he still provided for them and so on. So that was really, really sad to hear. And I think we're all affected by it.
Absolutely.
I mean, we spoke about it before the show started. Just and to your point, just the I think people are becoming, if you talk to people, I think the first topic of this discussion
It's always the electricity. Yeah.
and how we can overcome. But I'm the forever optimist. I'm hoping and praying that Eskom will make a turnaround pretty soon.
Yeah.
That government will come up with plans to address that in the near future. I know Cape Town is talking about buying from
private
providers. So hopefully we can implement some of that up here in Johannesburg as well.
And I mean, we need the solutions and we need them quickly because now speaking directly to property, we all know that the gross domestic product of does affect the interest rates and the repo rates and the lending rates.
Exactly.
It all knocks onto
Exactly.
and it really affects the
consumer,
the consumer.
The layman. So people out in the street, businesses. I mean, to the point you made earlier, having to close down because they just can't operate in an uncertain market like this. And also investors are not coming in because they're looking for opportunities where there's at least
growth.
Exactly. And if it's not happening, why would I invest here?
So speaking of growth, actually, the US and Europe have just sort of recorded their slowest growth in a number of years. And I think they might even, there've been reports about, those places and regions entering a recession in 2023. Do you think that's something that we are in danger of going through as well?
So it's a very good question. So I think let's start by maybe just explaining. So what is a recession?
Julian? What is a recession?
A recession is a period of temporary economic slowdown during which trade is affected, industries are reduced, and there's generally consists of two consecutive periods of GDP declining.
Yes.
So and to your question now, so what do I believe can happen? So they did a survey. I think PwC did a survey. 28 of I don't know how many X number of CEOs across the world, and in South Africa particularly, 28% of CEOs predict that if we don't get ahead of this load shedding issue, that we could in fact enter a recession very, very soon. So there are signs, but as I mentioned to you,
the eternal optimist.
During the break, the International Monetary Fund has pushed up our growth for this year, and also internationally, globally. They're saying that things are looking better, and I'm hoping again, they were forever optimists. That things will turn around for us, and that we don't in fact enter a recession.
You're saying it's not as bad as we think it is.
I'm saying it can get better. And I'm hoping it gets better.
If it doesn't get better, and if we do enter into a recession, what does that mean for the South African property market in particular?
So I think we're already seeing that, just our current economic climate, at the deeds office, new properties been registered, and that's indication of the activity in the market, has shown a slowdown in 2022.
Really?
It has, yeah. So I think the other knock-on effect of that is that, if we go into recession, businesses will start laying off people. So what do I do? I mean,
And those people can't pay their bills,
bonds.
which means that they can't keep their bonds, let alone.
So those people that's struggling, it has to now sell off their properties. Will go through a sale and execution process or a legal process, and then have to sell their property at much reduced prices. So it has an effect on the property market. Less buyers. So obviously it will push the property down. We might have the supply, because people are now pushing supply because people can't afford their homes anymore. So they want to not kind of flock the market, but kind of get rid of it. So they're now forced to take lower prices because there's not enough buyers. So
which as an investor is not the reason. That's the opposite thing that you want to do at the end of the day.
Exactly. So as an investor, you'll benefit. So it might be a good time for buyers, that has the means and affordability to get into the market. For them it might be a good thing, because obviously, like I said, sellers will be forced to come down with their prices because there's not enough buyers in the market. So I think there's definitely fears or concerns around if we enter a recession, that it can have a knock-on effect on the property market.
So what would you say you're forecasting for 2023?
And again, I'm reminded,
this is not financial advice. Julian's not allowed to give us financial advice. This is just Julian's opinion.
Thank you. I remember sitting in the same chair last year when we had this chat about interest rate and my predictions.
And I asked you, I said, hey, Julian, what do you think is going to happen? Welcome back, Julian. Please enlighten us.
So I'm expecting another interest rate hike, either the next sitting or the following one. And again, depends on what happened with inflation. If it continues on the downward trajectory.
My heart skipped a beat. You know, when you said that, I suddenly felt very thirsty.
So yeah, I'm again, being the forever optimist, so I'm hoping for 25%, and hopefully
the fact that you said there's going to be an increase, but you're using the word optimism in the same sentence.
So my optimism stems from either it's between a 25% increase or a 50% increase. So I'll rather go optimistically and say 25 pips,
instead of
the 50.
Got you. But it will happen.
I suspect it will happen.
Okay.
So one more interest rate increase, and then I think it's going to stabilize at that rate, and towards the end of this year, 2023, quarter 4, we might see a drop in interest rate. Either the end of this year, quarter 4 of 2023, or quarter 1 of 2024, we'll see interest rate dropping, and so that's kind of my prediction for what I see happening the rest of this year.
So you think we have more than one hike in 2023?
No, only one more after this one.
But we've had one.
We've had one and one more.
So 2 max is what you're thinking.
It's my thinking.
2 tops.
Tops. And again, provided we kind of bring inflation under control, food prices, and we know what's happening with Eskom and so on. So if those things, turn for the better, then I do believe, I'm hoping that prediction will then come true. Because I think the thing that people miss, is that, so as a banker, I also have a home. when I leave,
you also have financial interests that you need to take care of.
When I leave here, I also have a car payment. I also have credit cards. I also have a bond to go and pay. So I'm not immune to what's happening. Though.
You're not just saying things. It
affects me as well. So hence the reason. That's not like I'm living out on Mars and these things. I just come down here occasionally
as an independent observer on planet Earth.
And then I move up. No, I'm here as well. So it affects me as well. So yeah.
So speaking of things affecting you and how they affect all of us, there are things that are as citizens within our control and things that are not within our control. So things like load shedding, they tell us what stage we're on, we have to accept and we have to move on, unless we're all going to go marching to buildings and with memorandums. I don't know how helpful that would be. Things like the water, can't control it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Can't make it rain, can't make the reservoirs full, can't make the pumping happen. There's so many things that are outside of our control, but perhaps there are small micro changes that we can make as individuals or as families or as communities that can sort of help.
Sibs, I think a brilliant point, Sibs. I think for me the first one is pay off your high interest bearing debts, like credit cards. So when you get like bonuses and increases, or
pay it and then cut it up.
So that will be so also try and limit your unnecessary expenses, like going out, try 3-4 times a month,
Julian, we have to go out because if we stay at home, we can't eat. We're hungry. All we can eat is the melted ice cream and have now milkshakes every night for dinner.
But Sibs, if we want to control this, if this is affecting your pockets, so you need to decide, is it gonna, do I want to help myself, or do I want to be a victim of what's happening around me?
Fine.
So
I'm eating cheese and tomato sandwiches now for dinner every night. Sharp.
So pay off your debt. And I think then the other thing is, don't get caught up in the media hype. You see all these things happening, and again, like you said, now it's not like you living out in space. I mean, these things are real, but don't go and now get rid of your investments. If you can, ride the wave. This is, these things work in cycles, up cycles and down cycles, and
which you should actually always be prepared for, right?
Exactly. So don't get caught up in the hype. If you can ride the wave, then stay in it, because the downside is, if you do sell out and you get rid of your investments, you might lose out on when the market picks up again. So I, and then lastly, I think is save more. Try and save. We spoke about deposits and so on. Try and save. Make sure you have something for a rainy day. We need to be realistic about these things happening around us. So make sure you have something to fall back on when these things happen.
I have a savings account, and I'm telling you now, it's not just pouring, it's hailing. So that account is currently empty.
He's taking strain.
There is a hailstorm happening, Julian. It is a hurricane. It is a cyclone. It is holy fire from heaven.
But again, it's a cycle.
So eventually it's going to stop.
It's going to start. It has to change. It's going to have to change. And I'm hoping.
You're so sure. I love how sure you are.
It's going to change. I have faith in.
I have faith in God, but everything else, I'm not sure. How would further interest rates affect the local property market, would you say?
So as I explained earlier on, I think it's gonna the top end of the market, because we're not gonna get in investors, because of if there's no growth. I mean, you mentioned earlier during our discussions that if there's no growth, why would I want to come and invest?
I have no reason.
Exactly. So the top end of the market, that property, it's not gonna, your 3, 4, 5, 10 million rand properties is not gonna move, because it's gonna be no one coming into the market. And also I think just generally, people will be forced, to sell properties at prices at much lower than values, because they just can't afford to hang on to their properties anymore. And I'm hoping, that businesses will be able to survive and ride the wave and not lay off people, because I think one of the first things that happens, when businesses take strain, below
retrenchments,
that's normally your employee cost is normally one of your biggest, if not your biggest expense on your income statement. So where do you start cutting? You start cutting there. So I'm hoping that that won't happen. And also I think the other side also with businesses is that some businesses might hold back on hiring people because they don't, they're not sure what's going to happen. Or if they, see another interest rate hike, they can say, but I just can't.
We can't bring
more people in. So yeah, I think it
now
has
the
a knock-on
people
effect.
who already work there are doing the job of 5 people and they're stressed and now they want to quit, but they can't quit because of the repo rate and stop it.
We'll get through this. We're resilient. We're going to get through this.
I believe you, Julien. And in fact, the other thing, you didn't say it out loud, but I believe that you're just saying, Julien is saying everyone needs to have a side hustle if you want to be able to get through this year and afford your life. Never mind affording a house. You're saying you're not safe, nothing is secure, it's raining cats and dogs, it's pouring, it's hailing, there's a cyclone, there's a hurricane.
No. Things are changing, my friends. Listen, things are changing.
Julien?
Yes, ma'am.
I think I'm traumatized. I'm going to leave it there.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Always appreciate your insights and our conversations. And I cannot wait to speak to you again after the potential second one hits. Then maybe if there's a third one, we can talk again about how to stay alive in South Africa in 2023.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It was really a delight to be here, and I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation.
Always.
Thanks, Sips.
Listen, that's all I have for you. Don't dip into your rainy day fund, even though there's holy fire falling from the sky. Just wait it out and ride the wave, according to Julien, for as long as you possibly can. That is all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining me on the Private Property Podcast. My name is Sibs Matiela, and I will see you on the next episode.